Our first presenter is going to be Eric Harris with the California Almond Sustainability Program and SureHarvest, who helped us put together the sustainability program. So I'm going to pass control off. Give me 1 second here, and I will pass control off to Eric.
Great.
1 second.
Eric. Good morning, everyone. Can you confirm that I am not muted?
You are not muted, but I've got to give you, I've got to make you a presenter. This is a side effect of having a lot of people online. Finding you is.
I see him as a presenter, Tom. So you may want to try again.
Okay, thank you. He doesn't show my.
You scroll down. You can scroll down. There.
There we go. There you go, Eric. Thank you.
I have control. Well, great. Thank you, Tom, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone today. I'm looking at the bottom of my screen here in terms of number of participants, and it looks like we are now at 100 participants. So that's great. So really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone on this In the Orchard virtual workshop. So maybe we can say in the internet workshop. So the purpose of this presentation for my portion is to provide an overview of the California Almond Sustainability Program, otherwise known as CASP, C-A-S-P, and in particular to focus on the free online tools available for growers. My name is Eric Harris. I work at SureHarvest as the Senior Director of Science and Sustainability. And since the beginning of CASP, SureHarvest has worked with the Almond Board as a trusted third party to support program development, including the web-based assessment and reporting platform. A critical component of SureHarvest's role in CASP A critical component of SureHarvest's role in CASP is to function as a steward of the CASP data set. This involves confidentially and securely managing data from CASP assessments, as well as conducting ongoing analyses and interpretation of the data. So the main purpose, and I'll pull up the website for the CASP platform in a minute. The main purpose of my presentation really is for the growers that are listening, is to encourage folks that haven't taken a I'm speaking through my phone and it seems like it's getting muted. So let me see if I can advance the slide. Okay, sustainability has been a priority for the Almond Board for several years, exemplified, I think, best by the fact that the Almond Board adopted this definition of sustainability in 2005. And the California Almond Sustainability Program, CASP, was established shortly thereafter in 2009. So we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary last year. I think that the timing of both of these aspects of the sustainability program, the definition and the program itself, illustrates how the Almond Board has been really forward-looking with respect to sustainability and is really leading the way in many ways for other crops that are working with growers to implement sustainable farming. The foundation of the sustainability program relates to grower engagement, including education, outreach, and participation. And that engagement has been what's informed the online platform that I'll speak in a bit more detail today. And the online platform includes assessment modules, decision support tools and calculators, as well as regulatory reporting tools. And so I'll go in more detail on all three of those topics, but to sort of round out the picture of the CASP program and the core, another important aspect of that are industry level statistics demonstrating the sustainability performance of the almond growing industry in California. Those are generated based on aggregate anonymized data from the assessment modules. Have really been helpful in multiple cases, and a particular example is the use of industry level statistics on adoption of efficient irrigation technologies during the recent drought years. And then more recently, the CASP program has included supply chain reporting functionality, also linked with assessment modules and use of aggregate anonymized data to incorporate handlers in the broader program, in the broader CASP platform. So these core elements of CASP are supported by many other and multiple efforts at the Almond Board, including funding of research and science, supporting new industry innovations, as well as marketing and communications. But I wanted to provide this sort of summary of the core aspect of what is CASP, and then I'll go into more detail now on the online platform and a little bit, so the orange part, and a little bit more on industry level statistics and the supply chain reporting piece. So here's the online platform, the login page, and I've included the website there for reference. As I noted at the start, the real goal for my presentation is to encourage growers to go to this website, take a look. Signing up and creating a new account can be done, in five minutes, 10 minutes, and then there's all of these the modules, tools are available there for free for growers. So the main purpose is to encourage you to go take a look. And if it's more helpful for you, since we're in a web format right now, if it's more helpful for you to be doing that as I'm speaking, I encourage you to do that. So to provide an overview of the CASP online platform, so here's the landing page with the web URL up at the top. When a user is logged on, here's the main menu of the different parts of the system. That includes module assessment. We'll talk more about what that means. The calculators or tools, here's an example of a nitrogen tool. We'll go in a bit more detail about the irrigation tool, given the focus of this virtual workshop. And then as an example of a regulatory reporting tool is the recently introduced Irrigation and Nitrogen Management Plan tool, or the INMP tool. Additional functionality on the platform includes a variety of reports, and I'll provide an example of one of those as we go through the discussion here. So a key part of the online platform are the assessment modules, or you can think of these as chapters that focus on different topics related to farm management. There are 9 of them that were developed over the course of the program, starting with irrigation and nutrient management in 2009, and then developing to the 9 modules that are included today, with bee health and pollination being introduced in 2016. So what does that look like on the online platform? Here's the home page on the CASP online platform. To access the assessment modules, you can click through. So I'll have some demonstrations like this just to give folks a sense of what the system looks like. So we can do the module assessments. We select an orchard. Here the example is called Another Test. This is my demo account. And then we get to the assessment page where we can answer. You can see in the bottom right, you can scroll over with the mouse, all 9 modules. We'll take a look at irrigation management. And here's essentially what the user will look through and can answer questions for the module assessment. The questions are straightforward, as you'll see. So this is question number 1, 1, 2, and 3 in the irrigation management module. The first question, was this orchard planted by the current farm owners or managers? You can see you click yes or no, and then depending on your response, you go through. So if in this case, if you click no, then a number of questions aren't relevant, since questions about initial orchard establishment wouldn't be known by someone who didn't plant the orchard. And so those questions would be skipped. But the full, all 9 chapters, those 9 modules include questions like this. So why do it? So just a couple of reasons from my perspective, that firstly, answering the questions in the assessment modules allows a user, a grower, to create a permanent record of their practices for a specific season and orchard that can be reviewed at any time and can be accessed getting a PDF report of the assessment, including a report that compares the answers from the grower to the overall statewide averages that we've generated using the anonymized aggregate data. And as part of the process, so there's the record aspect of it. Another important part of doing the assessments is that there's a number of practices here. So the assessment modules are quite comprehensive. And an advantage of going through is a grower may answer yes or no to some questions. And for those answers that maybe has an answer of no, might be a reason to think or reflect whether that's something that might be worth considering. And in particular, if something is, say, a no response, and comparing to the statewide average where someone could see that a lot of other orchards are doing it, it might prompt reflection or consideration of new practices that are worth trying out. And then another aspect of why to do this would be with that establishing the first, say, assessment for a particular orchard and year. It allows someone to track changes over time because you can redo these assessments, which is pretty easy to do, and I'll talk about that a bit later as well. And then finally, a point that I've already made, an advantage of doing this is also to provide that anonymous aggregate data so that the almond industry can use that to tell the good story of all the positive things that the industry is already doing. And I've mentioned a great example of that is the widespread adoption of efficient irrigation technologies that information and statistically validated statements could be used in the past to support telling the good story about the industry. So to give you a sense of what the reports look like, so after we've done, say, our assessments, we can look at the reports. Here, clicking on look at reports, there's a variety of reports that are available. I won't go into detail on all of these. The assessment answers provides a summary of the responses that the user has selected. The assessment comparison report is the one that shows the answers from the user, from the grower, as compared to the statistically validated statewide averages. The FSA performance report, I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. That is one of the newest reports on the platform that shows the performance of a grower against an international sustainability standard called the Sustainable Agriculture Initiative Farm Sustainability Assessment, which is a bit of a mouthful, but that's the FSA performance report, which I'll talk a bit more about later. So if we look at the assessment comparison report, so Same way we choose which orchard we'd like to display, what year, and then to create that, here's an example showing those first 3 questions that I reviewed earlier, showing what the response was here, marked by the X. So we said yes to that. And we see the statewide percentage is 80%. So based on this, what that's saying is 80% of, in general, of the state have orchards that were planted by the current farm owners or managers. So that was the assessment modules, which really are a key aspect and main cornerstone, let's say, of the online platform. In addition to the assessment modules, there are a number of decision support tools or calculators. For the purposes of the discussion today, I'd like to focus on the irrigation tool, given the focus of the workshop. And the irrigation calculator automates irrigation calculations, scheduling, and can integrate real-time CIMIS data. So why use the irrigation calculator on the CASP platform? For one, it's automated, free, and can be used year over year. So that there's functionality where you can basically copy and paste from one year to the next. So it allows some streamlining in the process to avoid duplicating data entry. The irrigation tool creates an irrigation schedule with run times based on evapotranspiration or ET data from the nearest CIMIS station and based on the orchard-specific characteristics. It creates a permanent record of irrigation that can be reviewed at any time and may, in some cases, may be used to support different programs, an example of which is the NRCS EQUIP funding. I've heard that it can be used, the output can be used to support funding from that program or reporting for that. And in general, another aspect that I've heard of what's been helpful of the tool is that it can be used as another reference. So it's free, available online to almond growers. So knowing that folks may be using different technologies to help support their irrigation decisions, this can be used as another reference point that's free to sort of calibrate, I guess, ultimately what the decisions are made about irrigation scheduling. So what does this look like? So we can create an irrigation schedule for a particular orchard and year. Here I've created one. The calculator has the 3 tabs. One is the setup. So this is setting up the orchard. There's a lot more information here on the setup page related to the orchard-specific characteristics. At the top is setting up the appropriate weather station or weather information from spatial CIMIS data. And just as a note, the spatial CIMIS data reflects 2-kilometer resolution of weather data. It's based on models integrating the CIMIS station information and satellite data so that the weather information and data can be applied to the whole landscape level rather than a particular physical weather station location. The setup page includes, as noted, a number of other aspects related to this orchard. And the other tab here on weekly inputs shows irrigation information by week for a particular year. This was for last year, 2019, and is an example showing the types of information that goes into the. So the calculator can calculate weekly irrigation run times from the data, estimates soil moisture status based on predicted and actual irrigation schedule, and can recommend the amount and timing of water to be applied based on the ET data that's coming from the CIMIS link. So what the reports look like, here is a graphical summary of the overall irrigation through the course. Again, this was 2019. The blue lines are the actual applied water. The yellow is the ET, or evapotranspiration. You can see the water, the blue lines were applied up through June. The reason that happened was because when we were entering data for this example, we stopped entering it after June. It's not that this is an orchard where they stopped irrigating after that time. And the cumulative lines there, the yellow lines show the cumulative ET, and the blue is the cumulative water applied. And these reports can be exported as a PDF file and also as an Excel. So the final aspect or tool that's available on the online platform are related to regulatory reporting. The one that I've noted already is the Irrigation and Nitrogen Management Plan tool, which supports creating the worksheet and summary report that are required by water coalitions, or that are recently required starting this year in many places in the Central Valley, I should say. So what that looks like, we can create a worksheet for a particular orchard, particular year. We open it up. Here's the format of the data that can be entered to support creating the worksheet and ultimately the INMP summary report. I'm not going to go into detail on the data that would go into this. That's covered by the tabs up here. You can see profile information, parcel management, irrigation management, harvest yield information, and so on. One of the advantages of this tool on the CASP platform is the import function that will take, if there's relevant data that is included in the assessment modules or the irrigation calculator we just looked at, or the nitrogen tool, another decision support tool that I won't get into detail today. With a click of a button, that can be imported into the relevant parts here of the INMP worksheet. And once that's done, a report can be generated, shown here, that matches the format required by the water coalitions for reporting. Here is an example of the worksheet. That's the report that a farm would keep on file if it's ever needed for review. The system also creates a summary report, which is required for submission to the water coalition, or at least this year, the summary report was required to submit in East San Joaquin. Next year, the other water coalitions in the valley will be requiring that summary report. So that's the regulatory reporting piece. One additional part of the online system that I'd like to emphasize is the clone function, or the copy-paste function. This example shows with that INMP tool, but this has been built in for many different parts of the system. So what this means is if we've done the work, say this year we've done the work to enter the data related to our operation that's required for the INMP report, and we'll have that saved here on our page for the different crop year. What we can do using the clone function is either copy and paste from one orchard to another, or from one year to another. So if we go through the work to enter all the data this year, next year we can copy and paste for the updated year, and then go back and change anything that needs to be changed. So supports with streamlining the whole process once that information has been used. And that functionality, the copy, paste, or clone functionality, is also available in other parts. Here is showing for the assessment modules. So those 9 assessments are comprehensive. There are a lot of questions included there. But once a user has done it the first time, it's very easy and streamlined to go back and do it again by, say, copying, pasting from one orchard to others, or from one year to the next, and then simply updating any questions or aspects that might be different between those orchards or from year to year. So that's the overview and quick demonstration of the online platform. So the other pieces of the, say, CASP ecosystem includes the industry level statistics. And as discussed, this is using data in anonymized aggregate form to tell the industry sustainability story and really highlight the positive aspects of the almond growing industry in California. For this aspect, I want to emphasize again that data confidentiality is critical here. So data is only ever reported in anonymized aggregate form. And that's, I'd say one of the key concerns and points of focus for us at SureHarvest is ensuring that confidentiality and data security. So to give you a couple of examples of the industry level statistics, here is just showing overall participation. So how many acres are in the system? And to date, about a quarter or 22% of almond bearing acres have been assessed, representing organizations that manage almost half of all almond acres in the state. So that's a good chunk and impressive participation to date. And of course, we have ambitious goals to continue these positive signs of participation with the goal of 100% participation in CASP by 2022, that goal that was announced at the Almond Conference in December. So in addition to the overall participation information, these self-assessments also support statistically valid statements of sustainability performance. And I've referenced this example already, and I think it's nice to see that in graphical form here, that shows the higher adoption of efficient irrigation technologies, micro irrigation, showing the higher adoption of micro irrigation in the California almond industry as compared to all statewide values of all farms in the state. And of course, this was a powerful message to be used during the drought years to counter the, say, quote unquote, drought shaming type messaging. More recently, the data from the self-assessments has been used to support the measurement and reporting on the Almond Orchard 2025 goals that Tom referenced at the start of our virtual workshop. So, and the final piece to the CASP program that I'd like to mention related to the online system is the supply chain reporting functionality, which includes handlers. So the supply chain program allows growers to, if they choose to do so, anonymously share their aggregated data with their handlers, their aggregated self-assessment data with their handlers, and handlers in turn can share that aggregated self-assessment results with their customers. Because I think it's well known there's a market demand for sustainability, and the supply chain program is facilitating that conversation, let's say, on market demand, consumer demand, buyer demand related to sustainability characteristics of their product. The supply chain, so shown on the right here is what a grower would see on the online platform if they choose to opt into the supply chain data sharing to share their anonymized aggregate data with their handler. So they'd select that from the list here and say, yes, I choose to opt in. The supply chain initiative has, in addition to the data sharing component and handler reporting, the initiatives also included alignment with broader sustainability initiatives in efforts to create more widespread recognition of the CASP program. That's been done most comprehensively with the SAI platform, the Sustainable Agriculture Initiative platform, and their farm sustainability assessment. So the SAI platform, FSA, is an internationally recognized sustainability program that many retailers, consumer-facing companies are using to support their sustainability messaging. And what's been done is CASP, the assessment modules, in conjunction with recognizing the already strict regulatory environment that is in place in California, the CASP program achieved a gold performance level in comparison with the SAI FSA. And that gold performance level is the highest performance level, sustainability performance level for that program. And the FSA performance report is now available on the CASP platform, so growers can take a look at that. But here's just to provide an example, going back to those initial irrigation management questions. This is an example of a handler report of what handlers are able to see if they have a sufficient number of growers who have opted in to share their data with the handler. So the handler report is not created until we have confidence that the data can be kept anonymous. And so this shows the questions on the CASP modules with the response rate of opted-in orchards, so those are the handlers' orchards, as compared to statewide. So these efforts as part of the supply chain program to align CASP with broader sustainability initiatives or broader international sustainability initiatives has been helping establish the role of CASP as a sustainability translation tool that connects almond-specific sustainability, so shown in that dialogue bubble on the left, to these broader international programs. And in doing so, helps give credit to growers for what they're already doing in many cases. And these efforts also support in streamlining how the almond industry as a whole and handlers can respond to these requests that are coming in from buyers related to what are the sustainability attributes of their product. And as noted, one of the first examples, and to date the most comprehensive, is the FSA, shown in this is our international sustainability dialogue bubble on the right-hand side. And that was one of the initial programs to sort of align with. We've been working on multiple others, including most recently, the Pollinator Partnership Bee-Friendly Farming program. So that's it for me. Really appreciate, again, the opportunity to speak with everyone this morning. As mentioned at the start, my goal is to, maybe we can flip back to that. My goal is to encourage everyone to create an account and try out the system. There's a lot of great things available there. Hopefully I've convinced you somewhat to at least go take a look. So thanks.